My first memory of going to the theatre is with the Girl Guides when I was age probably 12, and it was the King's Theatre in Glasgow. I'd never been to theatre before that. I'd watched Sunday night at the London Palladium, and that was as close as I got, because I came from Motherwell, there was no big theatres there. We went to the movies, you went to the pictures, but you didn't, and so it was a bus. I was in the Gods and the Kings, and it was the Alexander Brothers, and the only song I really knew was Nobody's Child, but what fascinated me was watching the audience sing along. But one of the most wonderful things and memories I have is that they did sketches. And Roddy McMillan and Walter Carr, and I think Johnny Grieve, were doing a sketch, a tenement sketch, and Roddy McMillan was playing the drunk husband coming in and trying to get in the door. And it wasn't so much that I understood that, because my dad didn't drink. I had a rarity in the west of Scotland. My dad was a teetotaler. But I was fascinated again by the audience's laughter and their reaction. They were falling about at him, swearing about trying to get in and what he was saying. So it was an amazing experience. And to then end up all those years later playing in that very theatre. But that's that, and I had no notion of ever being an actor at all. I wanted to be Doris Day, but that she didn't appear at the King's at that time. The first time I remember really at drama school it was, and not wanting to leave the theatre. And it was a play, it wasn't, you know, a variety show, and it wasn't a musical, and it wasn't a pantomime or anything. I'd never seen a pantomime until I was at drama school. But it was a production of The Three Sisters with Phyllis Logan and Karen Mann and Jennifer Black as the Three Sisters. And it never left me. I remember going to the King's later because it became like one of my favourite plays, and seeing Janet Sussman do it with Nigel Davenport, and I was like, I was bored because I didn't connect with them. But seeing, maybe it was because they were the right age, they were young, they were passionate, you know, I wanted to go to Moscow, all of that just right. And I remember I was going out with a guy then who didn't really like acting, drama, anything. And we were sitting in the Athenaeum Theatre, and I had to go for my last train. I was going to miss the last 10 minutes. And I said, I need to go. And he went, I need to see what happens. And that was magical. But professionally, I suppose, again, when I was at drama school, I worked at the Theatre Royal doing some ushering, I think, at one point. And I saw Eileen Atkins do St. Joan. And that was like nothing I'd ever seen, really affecting. Again, you know, then when I was in New York, I saw Nathan Lane, who is just a god in my eyes, do Laughter on the 23rd Floor, the Neil Simon thing. And it was to die for funny, you know, falling off your seat funny. And then seeing him again in The Producers in London. So I've had lots of really amazing experiences. Seeing Out of Our Heads by 784 in the Sits when I was at drama school at 18, going, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Hearing Terry Neeson saying, watch Liz McLennan, and I wanted to do theatre that broke the wall and spoke to people as well. So maybe it's because I've been around a long time. and I'll walk away from here remembering another 20, but they're ones that really stick out, I think. I'm in a fortunate position where things tend to get lined up, if you like, that I do. And I am, my friend Michael Harrison is producing Annie. So I've always wanted to do Miss Hannigan. So I'm going in to do, I think Craig Revel Horwood's doing the part of the tour and all of that. So that's a great thing to do because my nieces and nephews all want to come and see that. So that's great. So you can sort of tick that off. And a very strange thing happened just a few months ago. But Michael Harrison, great theatre producer and great friend of many years now, although he's still only 34 or something, said to me, you have to play Mama Rose and Gypsy. You have to do that. And Nigel West, another director, London director, said, and I kept saying, oh, I'm too young for that. This is about 10, 15 years ago. And yeah, a bit like that, you know, yeah. And Michael said, I've got the poster designed, I know what it's going to look like on the Underground in London, I want you to do it now. But it's one of those things you think, that's never going to happen. And a few months ago, I'm sitting with the great Scottish writer Andrew Hagan, who's a great pal, and we were having several drinks in a hostelry in London. And he had just seen Gypsy at Chichester with the great Imelda Staunton. And he turned to me during it, he said, I was sitting with the critic from The Observer, and he said, Imelda's fabulous, she's wonderful. And he said, but there's another actress I know should play this. Now, Andrew and I never discussed this. We never had the conversation. And he said, Elaine C Smith should play that. And she'd gone, who's Elaine C Smith? He said, she's a Scottish actress, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's really weird. I said, Michael Harris has been saying that for years about it. And I was going in the next day into Michael's office to do routining for songs with the MD for Panto in London, in Drury Lane. And I said, it was really weird. I was in the Ivy last night and Andrew Hagan said this thing, isn't that weird, Michael? And he sort of went like that. And I said, what? He said, I've just been phoned by, I can't remember the artistic director at Chichester, to ask me to bring it into town. He said, I'm going to produce it in town. I said, you're kidding. And he said, I actually said on the phone an hour ago, he said, I'm a bit conflicted because I love the show, but I've always had someone in mind that I'd love to do it. And he said, well, Imelda won't do it forever, you know. So I may well end up with, over Easter, I was sitting, flicking through the channels, and there was Gypsy on television as well. And watching Rosalind Russell do that was just fantastic. And I linked to my mother as well, because my mother loved Rosalind Russell so much. And I now feel I'm the right age, more than the right age, sadly, to play it. So I suppose that's in the site somewhere. Whether it comes off or not, who knows? There'll be a queue of great people wanting to play that part. But with Michael at the helm, and he's now very pally with Mr. Sondheim, apparently. So there might be a bit of money changing hands, but I'd like to do that. I suppose I would love to have been in the audience when Danny Kaye played the Empire in Glasgow. Those photographs of him at the Central Hotel where they followed him down the street, and the fact that he sat on it, to have been part of that would have been wonderful. And I'm trying to think if that's what I'd like. He's a performer I would like to have seen, but maybe to work with, don't know whether, she was apparently quite a tough cookie, but Gracie Clark of Clark and Murray. And one of the great moments of my life was when I was doing the Steamy. I was only 29 or something, with the also great Dorothy Paul. We were in Air Gaiety, and Gracie Clark must have been in her 80s, and she was legendary, Gracie Clark, as you know, but Clark and Murray were and in Wildcat, in an early show, Welcome to Paradise, I think it was, we did a sort of version of a Clark and Murray sketch, Myra McFadden, myself, and Davy Anderson. And I had no idea who Clark and Murray were. And so, of course, within show business in Scotland, you realise they were the sort of king and queen for a long time. And Gracie came into our dressing room, and Dorothy was very much on her mettle, you know, it was Gracie Clark. Now, she must have been 80 odds then, and very, quite a severe sort of woman. And she sat down and she was talking to Dorothy, and we were all introduced, and she looked at me and she said, "You have a very funny face, dear, very funny." Now, I was hoping she was going to say, "You're mad," or something. But actually, when she went out, Dorothy went, "That's a huge compliment. For Gracie to say that to you, that means you made her laugh." And so I would have loved to have seen her, because I've heard so much about her over the years.